Oh my goodness, today the light is looking kind of good. I'm kind of proud of that. Let me go ahead and allow a few of you sweet souls to come in, and then we'll hop into our conversation about signs, how to spot signs, how to ask for signs, how to create signs between you and your deceased loved one. So yeah, let's just go ahead and give it a moment to come in, because I see I got a couple of you. Please go ahead and let me know that you can hear me, that you can see me. Type something into the comments. Even a hello will be perfect. Maybe a little heart emoji. I like heart emojis. Those are fun. Just let me know that you can hear me, that you can see me, and that everything is connected well. If I'm staticky, I want to know. Because then I have to kill the feed and then come back. So go ahead and throw in a comment. Oh, hello, Brenda. Thank you so much for letting me know that the comment section of my live is working. Sammy, hi there, sweet pea. Akasha, hey girl, hey. Shara, I'm so glad to see you all. Angela, hello. Jamie, hi. Oh, I love it when you come and visit with me. This is amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Amanda, I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're here. So today's topic, you all, is about our deceased loved ones. People who have passed, who have transitioned. I call them all sorts of things, and one of the most recently beautifully used terms I heard was departed loved ones. So the dearly departed is another term that of course we've heard. Of course, if you've had any relative or soul that you've known that has transitioned on, you might have heard them being referred to as, hey Carol, you and I have been trying to connect, so I'm glad that you got in here today. But in this conversation, I wanted to touch briefly on how we can ask for signs from our loved ones, and also what the signs look like, so that we're not just being mystified by things that are happening around us. Because if you think it's a sign from your loved one, it probably is. But yeah, so tell me briefly, and I hope this doesn't pull on too many, of them hard heartstrings, but tell me a person who you'd love to receive a sign from. Now, this could be grandmother, great-grandmother, son, if you've been unfortunate enough to lose a member that's that connected to you in that regard. But tell me the person. Tell me maybe even a name. Your grandmother, Karen. Your grandfather, Joe. Your aunt, Megan. Tell me who you would like to receive a sign from. I'm not pulling signs. I'm going to help you create your signs today. So we are going to keep this session short, because I want to keep this moving. I want to keep this engaging. Oh, your son, Brenda. Okay, there you go. Carol to your dad. What was your son's name, Miss Brenda? What was your dad's name, Carol? Your aunt, Sammy, tell me her name, because I'd love to know who, you get a name to the face. Your grandmother, Catherine. I love that, because even that gives me information as to who they are. And so it's like a little name handshake, essentially. Your son, Devin. Oh my goodness. Your auntie, Ann. Okay, we'll keep it with Ann. Sweet. So I'm glad that you have those names. Because for me, I feel like the people who have transitioned on away from us, your Uncle Butch, they've not left us. They've not gone away from us. Your Grandpa Fred, thank you so much for sharing these names with me. The people who have transitioned on, I feel like, especially in my work as a tarot reader, who is starting to kind of open the door to some medium mystic tendencies, I am finding that they haven't left us. They've just kind of gone in a different room, essentially. It just so happens to be that they can't be seen in this other room. So it's a little awkward, but it's a little interesting at the same time. So they're totally within the realms of being able to hear us, being able to see us, being able to understand and feel the energy and the connection that we have with them through our link of love, essentially. Becky, your dad, Gilbert, Marshall, your biological dad, Larry. So, Nicole, and your best friend. So when it comes to getting signs or requesting signs, there's a couple ways of going about it. First, let's make sure we know what signs are, okay? Because there's default signs that I, in my experience, have been kind of just the, oh, there you are. Oh, just a little nudge, just a little something, dainty, I guess is the way to put it. Delicate, dainty, and easy. Some of those default signs that you may see is the penny on the ground, right? That's just out of nowhere, the penny on the ground. You may also see the butterflies. That just happens to be when you see the butterflies, that name shows up in your mind. Yeah, totally a sign from them that you would happen to look up, right, as that butterfly is going by. Rainbows is another big sign that a lot of people tend to see in relation to a person that have passed for them. Since spirits and deceased souls can manipulate energy. You might even get like blank text messages. I've heard stories of people receiving full-on text messages. And how amazing would that be if you, for instance, if you left your father's cell phone on after he passed, and then on the anniversary of his passing, he sends you a message via text to your phone. A little like insane, interesting, and kind of amazing. Hummingbirds very well could be a sign. What was the other one I remember hearing about is phone calls. When those cell phones start to ring, but they haven't had service connected to them in quite a while. I've heard stories of radios coming on, and they're not even plugged in, but they're playing music. Those are some, like, just little signs that you can almost guarantee that, you know, Butch is conversing with us, Devin is conversing with us. And then another type of sign outside of the default signs, I feel like, are personal signs. And personal signs are along the lines of something that is individualized between you and the person who's deceased. So maybe you know that your grandmother loved her some red lipstick. If you knew that about your grandmother and you happen to see a random red lipstick either in artwork or on TV or on someone else or in an ad or on music or something like that, specific songs playing, that's another good one that tends to happen a lot for people, then that very well is just an intimate sign between the two of you. Now, the part that I love that I just recently had the experience of doing myself, so I'm kind of excited to share because it's like, who doesn't love a show and tell or share and tell? You can create a sign between the two of you, between you and your deceased loved one and whoever else. Recently, for myself, I created signs for my grandmother who passed about a year ago, maybe 2 years max, and then Ascent is another one, and my grandfather who passed some years prior to that. So basically, the way that I would suggest going about it is just having an open conversation with your deceased loved one in your mind, on paper, whatever works for you. Decide between the two of you something specific, something that's not just random, like what's something that's kind of like, if you go outside and you see a chair, you're probably going to see a chair. That doesn't mean that it's necessarily a sign. But if you decide that, like for me, my sign for my grandmother is acorns. As I almost choked. Acorns and red cowboy boots. My grandmother loved herself some red cowboy boots. So for me, anytime I see like a image of red cowboy boots, I think of her. Anytime I see somebody wearing red cowboy boots, it feels like my grandmother's just saying, hi, you know, just a little peekaboo. Hi, what's going on? Hello there. And acorns. So, because my grandfather used to call her Squirrel, so anytime an acorn would show up, to me, that is my grandmother. That is my grandmother connecting with me. That is my grandmother saying hello to me in her own little way. Now, story time, my grandmother left a half-eaten acorn outside of my treehouse yesterday. And the funniest thing was that we don't have any trees that bear acorns around here. So that was kind of interesting to have that experience of opening my spiritual metaphysical space, opening the door, and there on the floor is a like chewed in half eaten acorn. And that is so my grandmother. Like, she's such a spicy, like bitey woman in general. Like, having a half-eaten something is so her. So my grandmother left me a half-eaten acorn, and it's just one of those moments that's interesting, and it's, you know, it's just like, hey grandma, and then you move on. My grandfather, the sign that I created for him was something that I thought was unusual, and finding random flowers. And if that's what you have between you and your person, that's perfect. That's a perfect specific sign. For me and my grandfather, his sign is question marks and diamonds. Just the two shapes of question marks and diamonds. And the night that I decided, after having a quick little conversation in my mind with my grandfather, you know what, you and I haven't really had any, like, I've not had any visits, I've not had any feelings from him, I've not had any, like, conversations. He's kind of a reserved energy anyway, so it's not unusual for him. But when I see question marks or diamonds, the shape of diamonds, then I'm going to know that that is from you. That's going to be your hello from your side of the room. And that's just going to make me like smile and glow. And the funniest thing is that later that evening, I'm sitting on the sofa watching a TV show with my wife about dating on the autism spectrum. And there was a counselor who was drawing a big question mark and coloring it in. And behind her shoulder in shot, you could see a diamond shaped artwork. And I just thought that was like, that was fast. And that was amazing. So it's totally doable to have that conversation with your loved one, with the person that you would like to have or receive a sign for. You can have that conversation and decide, I want this specific thing and I want that specific thing. Or maybe just you have your one. Or maybe you have a collection of 5 specific things. Whatever works for the 2 of you. I like 2 because I can remember those. I can remember that. I've heard many stories of like something simple like oranges. Like whenever oranges shows up, I know that's my grandfather talking to me about whatever. You can also use those signs as a way to get confirmation that maybe you made the right choice, or maybe you made the right decision, or that this is going to end up well. That might be another way to go about it. So Randy had just commented, for me it's coffee. When I stay at my mom's, I would make coffee. My dad lived on coffee, so I would make coffee and go to the garage because he couldn't smoke in the house. So while you're in the garage, there we go. Oh my gosh, it's a little bit longer, sorry. So while I'm in the garage, I would hear someone in the kitchen and the cabinets closing, but no one would be in the kitchen. I always say it's my dad looking for his coffee cup. You know, the cutest little thing that you could probably do for him, especially if you already know that he's looking or he's doing the ritual of finding his coffee cup, maybe pour him a cup. Just pour him a cup like every couple days, or, you know, when you make yourself your coffee, just have your, what is this, your dad's cup? Hold on, I'm moving back. Yeah, my dad. So have your dad's cup out and just pour him a little cup of coffee. And it's just kind of like a little touch of ancestral like veneration, like a little like, I'm thinking of you, Dad. Here's your coffee. And I bet you anything, it would warm him. I bet it would, I bet he would enjoy that. And then you can go have a cup of coffee on your own and he would enjoy that with you. But yeah, there's so many ways to receive signs. And I think those are just scratching the surface, because they can be as creative as you like. They can be as complicated as you need them to be. They can be whatever you'd like. But the suggestion or the invitation on my end is make your signs something that is not exactly easy, like finding a cloud in the sky. If you need it, yeah, take it. But do it something that's a little bit more challenging than just something super easy, but not so challenging where it's like it's never going to happen. Like, I don't believe a Sherman tank is going to be rolling down my street. I don't think it's going to happen. But if I make my sign maybe little army boots that may show up in artwork, that may show up on TV, that may show up in ads, in social media, you never know how it's going to show up. So something specific that's within the realm of possibilities and as complicated as you need it to be for you to know that that is a sign from your loved one. That is a sign from your loved one. Oh, you'll absolutely do that. That is perfect. You hear footsteps in the hallway or smell. If you are troubled by the way your loved ones are behaving in a space, just talk to them. Ask them to, like, okay, so the noises are scaring me. They're freaking me out a little bit. Can we not do that? Or maybe you can give them something else to manipulate if it's the desire to connect, if it's the desire to communicate with you. I just recently had a conversation with a client whose father I believe it was her father who passed away. And the feeling that I immediately got as I was doing her reading is that her father wanted a seat at the dinner table. So the suggestion also was like, hey, put out a meal for him. He wants a meal. Like, he wants to share a meal with you guys. Another little feeling that I helped someone with just recently, actually one of our sweet peas that visits me all the time, she had a friend of hers that had passed away, and she feels her friend all the time right before bed, and it was kind of disturbing her. So I just asked her to ask out loud, like, okay, I love it when you hang out, but when I'm sleeping, can you pull your energy back a little bit? Because I can feel you, and feeling you is disrupting my sleep. So it's just having that conversation as though they're real life right here, right now. Converse with them and they can hear you, and they can also take action in that regard. You're okay with it, Brenda? Groovy. Then it looks like you're good. It looks like you're good. Perfect. I want to make sure I look at your comments. Do you have any questions about anything that I just mentioned or anything that I can clarify on for you? Because I want to make sure that I answer anything that comes up regarding either like ancestral signs or veneration or anything in that regard. So yeah, Lisa talked about your brother's songs will show up. That is definitely, I find that music is a common way in which our loved ones communicate with us. And anytime I hear my grandmother's songs, like that just like, it warms you up extra. It definitely warms you up extra. Ascent, yep, there you go. Sin was talking about how finding random flowers. I love that. I love that. Tony, I hear someone walking on the roof and you think it's your cousin. That is very cool. You might want to just like literally ask out loud, like, is it good up there? Like, is that your cousin? And just see how you feel or see what shows up for you. If you're feeling like, if you're listening to your heart or your first thought, whatever your first thought is, then it's probably spot on. So if you think it's your cousin, I bet you anything it's your cousin. You have lots of dreams. Sweet. Cool. Well, if you don't have any questions on that particular topic, I will go ahead and meander on. I loved getting to hear these names of people, of your loved ones. There's something endearing about a name. There's something powerful about a name. And like, even when I do reads for people, that's one of the things that I want to know is, it's not so much the words or the utterances of the name. It is the thought of you going into your mind to pull that noun. That is what connects you to them for me. Because I'm feeling you, and then you're pulling this line of thought, and it's that line of thought that connects me to them. So I love that. I love knowing names. I love knowing names. So let's scroll down. My friend Lawrence passed away last year, July 9th. Is he still with me? I always see butterflies more often since he passed. Well, then of course he is. If you are seeing butterflies more often after he's passed especially, then that's maybe his sign with you. That's the communication that he has with you. If you want to add in other signs, because I'm almost certain he's probably reached out to you in other ways, but maybe we haven't seen it. Maybe create a sign or a language or a form of communication between the two of you so that you can converse with him. But anywho, I hope that makes sense. Thank you so much for hanging out with me this evening. It's been such a busy day, and I got more to do before the day is over. I got so much shipping, and I got a reading here in a little bit. So I'm going to go, but you all... Oops, I just got a comment. I recently prayed my grandmother, who will be... Granddaughter, excuse me. I recently prayed my granddaughter who will be born healthy, and someone whispered in my ear. I couldn't understand what it says. I think it was her stillborn brother telling me, oh, that she'll be fine. Oh, that is glorious. If that's the feeling that came with what you heard, then I would lean into believing that, Shari. Like, if that rings true for you, might as well be. Might as well be. But all right, you all take care. Love you bunches.